guys are.
Well, good evening, everybody. Welcome to our weekly race chat.
Adam Ross and Clinton Jeffrey are live and interactive every Tuesday night. Rivals Race Chat is your home for race discussion, debate, news, interviews, and more. They'll even take your questions and comments live on the air and talk to some of the newsmakers each week. Tune in every Tuesday night at 8 p.m. on GeForce TV.
For Lucy Olsen, she has her first point.
Yeah, Lucy Olsen, talented sophomore.
Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen, to the Coast to Coast Racing Network. Marty Sakala with you. We are getting set to go here for some fun action. It is the Cup Series Next Gens here at Daytona International Speedway. Should be a good one here. Let's begin by talking about the standings coming on in here for the Next Gens. And fun season so far of racing here. With the Next Gen series, and Cody Graham has pretty much has this championship, wrapped up. 942 to 845 on Cullen Johnston. It's been a great season for him so far. 2 wins on the year. Nearly took home the championship won the championship in Rebels by just about a position on Jeff Kemper. So looking for his second championship, at least, of the week. Correct me if I'm wrong on that. I don't follow the Tuesday night series that much. Would be his fourth championship, fifth championship. I don't know, sixth championship or so of the week. It's pretty crazy to see what he has done on the asphalt and the dirt. So qualifying is underway. Drivers 2 laps to set a time. And we will watch Doyle Lawrence as he is the first driver to make his way onto the racetrack in car number 3. Lawrence making his 6th start of the season. That is in the trail this year as a whole. 2 top 10s on the trail this year. And of course, this summer, 1 top 5 and 4 top 10s, I believe it is. So, fun year for him. And the times he can make a race. Best finish on the season for Lawrence. Second, and he got that in Michigan. So, his first super speedway race on the year. Of course, main goal here at Daytona, you want to have on your 2 laps, lap 1, you want to build up the engine temperature. So running the high side here. Then on the 2nd lap, you want to be as low as you can. So 5 minutes of qualifying here for the drivers. You'll see some drivers decide not to qualify and start from the back because they're hoping that they can avoid the early incident, especially maybe the big one. So focus on lap 1 here as Doyle Lawrence comes across the line. Jeremy Tate currently in the purple. And same with Jacob Butcher. Butcher and Tate each with 49.52 lap times. You can see everyone as low as they can. There's Butcher in car number 85. We don't have the paint scheme numbers updated like the paint scheme colors update on our leaderboard like normal. But Butcher looking for his first win on the season. 3 top 10s on the year. Best finish for him currently on the year is an 8th place finish. Excuse me, nope, 2 7s at Auto Club and Nashville. So watch the clock closely as you see the drivers in purple. Lawrence comes up. He'll be the quickest driver. Of course, things will update here, and Lawrence goes quickest, 49.52 on lap number 2. And more times start to come in here. Let's go to Hollywood Olsen, who was 4th quick at a 49.55. That's Roland Olsen. Loves to race the Cup Series. Don't see him run a lot of dirt often. Olsen, a slower lap time for him. Joe Musso in the number 63. He is 5th quick as Cody Graham just went 4th quick on lap number 1 at a 49.54. See, he's as low as possible, but doesn't want to get on that yellow line or else he risks possible off track, which if you get at least 1X on your lap, or some sort of incident, contact, something like that, your lap will be invalidated. Jacob Musso, though, or Eddie Musso Jr., I should say, quickest of anyone in Sector 1 as he comes across the start-finish line. Where does he end up? He's in the green in Sector 2, and he is 8th quick at a 49.55. Cody Graham, better in Sector 1. Does it improve his lap? Nope, he is off just a bit. And so qualifying is in the books, and it's Chevy 1, 2, 3 with Doyle Lawrence starting on pole position. You get the full green flag times here in just a moment. Jacob Butcher second. Jeremy Tate third, each of them 49.52s. There was Joe Musso fourth, 49.53. Cody Graham, John Krupa, 49.54s. Roland Olson, Eddie Musso Jr., Jacob Musso, 49.55s. Brandon Bender, 49.56. And Isaac Salas, Colin Johnston, Brandon Combs, 49.57. But folks, we are ready to go green flag racing here as we've got the warm-ups taking place. We'll step aside and take a brief commercial break. Feature time coming up in just a moment on the Coast to Coast Racing Network. Knoxville Raceway. All right, we are back. Apologies for that. As drivers are rolling onto the racetrack, and let's give you your starting lineup. On the pole position, Doyle Lawrence in the 3 with a great lap time, 49.519, 3 thousandths better than Jacob Butcher in car number 85. Next to him in row number 2, Joe Musso, and on the outside of Jeremy Tate, that's row 2. Cody Graham and John Krupa, the teammates, in row number 3. And in row 4, Hollywood Olson, Roland Olson next to Eddie Musso Jr. Running up the top 10 this evening, Jacob Musso. He's in the 61 next to Brandon Bender in the 229. Row number 6, Isaac Salas in the 5. Colin Johnston in car number 13. Brandon Combs in the 228. Andy Patton, the general, in the 87. Make up row number 7. Row 8, the Desert Demon. Terry Landis in the 161. The Mayor, Steve Bixler, in the 75. Rounding out the top 20 this evening, Brian Lawson in car number 9. And the Ayla Outlaw, Preston Cranmer, in the 07. Row number 10. The vast man Roger Craig in the 747, Gary Sigelcow in the 25. Row number 11, it's Zach Chapman, Scooby-Doo in the 72, and Andrew Smith's in the 79. Rounding out the field this evening, Butch Baker in the 97, Jeff Kemper is in the 181. So we are set for a good one here this evening at Daytona. Who's it going to be? How's it going to be done? There's always a favorite out there. Pick it ASAP. I know you've been looking forward to this call tonight. Where else would you rather be than right here, right now? Championship night at the World Center of Racing. It's showtime at Daytona. Lap number 1 goes up on the board, and it's led by the driver of the number 63 in Joe Musso. As the field makes their way through turn number 1, you can put in this pack right now 20 drivers all under a blanket, but the low line starts to work in just a little bit early here. As Lawrence decides to move up to the outside to see if he can get a push from John Krupa, the Oswego Laker, in car number 5. College starting back up this week here for Oswego Lakers, and which means college sports just about to begin, and hockey is around the corner. But Krupa's looking for the lead push from one of his Moose teammates, and that is Eddie Musso Jr. in the 62. We had a race at Daytona. I believe it was during week 13. It was, I want to say it was the asphalt assault race. I don't think it was that one. We had a race at Daytona, and it was one of the Mussos, Joe Musso, won it in a photo finish, last lap pass. A great race to watch at Daytona, and I think it was in the Next Gen cars. If not, it was the trucks. I can't remember off the top of my head. Let's check the fuel limit here for this evening. And the fuel limit is at 50%. So I'd expect pit stops to come at around lap 24 or so. So expect this to be a two-stop race this evening. Eddie Musso Jr. in number 62 entry has taken his Chevrolet out to the front of the field. There's that slogan, the Moose is loose. Cato, New York native, should expect the Mussos at Super Dirt Week this year at Oswego. I actually talked with Jacob Musso at the World of Outlaws race at Weed Sport earlier this year. It was great to meet him. All the other Mussos were shopping around, just hanging out. So fuel window normally per NASCAR is set at 48 laps. However, though, if you put a 50% fuel limit, obviously that comes to 24. So we'll see when drivers decide to come in for pit stops. For now, it's Moose 1-2, Musso Jr. followed by Krupa. First side-by-side race for third is between Doyle Lawrence and Brandon Bender. Couple of drivers decided to play it nice and safe from 20th on back. That's Andrew Smith, Jeff Kemper, Zach Chapman, Butch Baker, and Gary Sigelkow. They just don't trust being in a pack right now. You know, I can understand why. I know I've done super speedway races in the past, and I've always decided to play it safe, stay away from the giant packs, and then when we're late in the race, I'll make my move when the time is right. On board with John Krupa here. Car number 5. Now just look at the speeds the drivers are going into turn number 1. It's about 190 miles an hour. Of course, in the Cup cars of the past, the Gen 6 cars, they would go up to 200 miles an hour or so. But I just love with the Gen 6 bodies, even without the restrictor plate on them, they have reduced the speeds. Normally in iRacing as well in the past that the drivers tried to run If it's single file, the high side normally the place to be in the corners. Something you don't usually see often on iRacing super speedway races. Normally, you see the low line be the case in the corners. If it's a single file race, you see it in Xfinity, you see it in trucks, you saw it in the Gen 6. This time everyone wants to go on the outside Next Gens. I remember when I first tried it out, it was like the weirdest thing ever. Eddie Musso Jr. just briefly goes off track of the 62. I believe he decided to play it safe, or I think he got hit or something. I'm not too sure. Oh my, that was tight. Brian Lawson has to dodge a mega bullet. Oh, he's got an issue. And that number 62. I don't know what happened to him. We'll get a replay here and show you. Get you a nice shot here aerial-wise. Oh, man, it's like his controller. Something happened to his wheel or something. I don't know what it was. It was one of the strangest things ever. So Brandon Bender is taking over the lead as our first caution flag is flown. And we have got issues with John Krupa. Doyle Lawrence also seems to be involved in this accident as well. This was just when we came back from replay. So let's see if we can get an idea here. From this camera shot off of turn 2. Someone caught the apron. Oh, that was Lawrence head on into the wall and collects both. Graham and Krupa, the 8 of Jeremy Tate, also seem to get a piece of it. There's the 85 of Butcher. Man, the sparks fly again at Daytona. The violent car is involved. I think that may have been Andrew Smith. I don't know, though. Those are the only angles that we have here for you. Let's see here briefly. Bear with me. There's a shortcut on how to fast forward this to live instantly. I think there is. Let me try this out here. All right, so first caution is out, and leaders are in pit road, and it was Brandon Bender that was called as the race leader, and you'll see the pit stops on the bottom of your screen. We'll give you the pit stop times after the drivers come out of the pits. So it's Bender that wins the race off pit road. A lot of drivers going with fuel-only stops here. Bixler, Musso, Combs, and it was Joe Musso, Combs, Jacob Musso that round out the top 5. So new leader here is Colin Johnston in car number 13. So with that being said, let's step aside and take our first break. When we come back to green, you're going to stay with us at the Coast to Coast Racing Network. Ready to come back to the green flag here at Daytona. 10 laps go up on the boards this time. Check that 11. Colin Johnston will bring us down for the restart. Just a brief look at your pit summary amongst the top 10. Quickest on that situation on pit road as a whole. We have a 34.55 set by Joe Musso. So great stop for him in the pits. So taking the field just a little bit to budge their way back up to speed. Johnson with the push from Patton. First driver all the way up on the outside. That's the 229 of Brandon Bender, who was the leader when we went to our first caution of the day. So it's Colin Johnston, the leader. Andy Patton wants to make the low line work for second. Teammates trying to team up and work together. 63-61. Joe and Jacob Musso had a pair of their teammates, Cody Graham, John Krupa, involved in that first caution flag. Remember, all the drivers do have a quick repair, keep in mind. Don't want to be using that quick repair early, obviously, as you want to make sure you're up at the front for the finish of this one. Krupa and Graham decide to take their car to the pits, and they are currently 2 laps down, so they are just hoping for a couple of cautions at this point to put them back on the lead lap. One up in the wall in the back of the field. I think that may have been Andrew Smith in car number 79. The Black Rifle Machine making his way back down to the 13th position. Teammates trying to split up and trying to work together, but all split by guys. You've got Lawson and Salas trying to work together. Smith and, of course, Preston Cranmer, the Ayla Outlaw, scored in 6th spot. One of your biggest movers of the race. He's up 12 spots with the drop of the green flag. Andrew Smith is up 14 positions, making 13 to 9th. Cranmer now scored in 7th. But now we start to see a train possibly develop between the 229. Oh, trouble behind them. Big one breaks out at Daytona on lap number 15. Salas involved. Chapman. Believe Sigelkow also got a piece of it. Lap 15. So many good cars destroyed this early. Bixler. Olsen. Moose. One of the Musso guys. I think that was Jacob. Good grief. Well, let's take a look at this one from one of our drone shots in slow motion and see how this developed. That's a close-up shot. I want to see if we can get a wider shot here. Here we go. Let's rewind the footage here. If we can, that would be great. Let's watch the 05 of Salas. Him and Bixler were stuck together. Let's put this in slow motion. So Fielder was making their way off at turn number 4. I think Bixler was just trying to come up, and Salas was already to his outside. He was trying to make a lane change to stay in the toe of Colin Johnston, and then all heck just broke loose. Everyone trying to scatter and avoid it, but then Chapman catches Salas, and it's pretty much on. There's Kemper. There's Jacob Musso with nowhere to go. So at least 6 cars are involved in this one. Luckily, Kemper doesn't go head-on. Luckily, has Zach Chapman trying to avoid him. There's the 3 of Olsen. Roger Craig mowing Daytona's lawn. Let's watch this in real time. A lot of guys as well in the pits here. Chapman took the biggest hit of them all, in my opinion. Couple onboards I think we can ride with. Here's Jacob Musso as he was trying to dodge this bullet. Nowhere to go. Right on board with Roger Craig. As he sees it happening, couldn't go through pit road. Oh, he did get involved. Caught, I think that was Gary. Let's go with Jacob. Let's go with Steve Bixler. As the exit already was happening. That was who Craig hit. Man. Now what you want for the Salty Dogs. Let's go to Hollywood. Here's Isaac Salas. This is part of the aftermath that occurred. A lot of good cars. Either having to use a quick repair or had to get towed to the pits. Bear with us here as this is fast forwarding. Again, we can't skip directly to live. Our live timing's having an issue. So see if we go 1 to green this time. A lot of drivers coming in. Terry Landis won the race off pit road, followed by Jeremy Tate, Andy Patton, Eddie Musto Jr., and Jacob Musto. Lights are off the iRacing pace car, so we will go back to green this time by. So as we are ready for this restart, let's give you one of our drone shots here, one of the Chapman Racing drones that we have. Special thanks to them for their support as always. So as we come back to the green flag, it's Brandon Bender and Brandon Combs, teammates on row number 1. Colin Johnston, Doyle Lawrence, row number 2. Row number 3, Preston Cranmer and Andrew Smith. Brian Lawson, Joe Musso, row 4. Terry Landis, Gary Sigelkow round out the top 10. One driver currently out of the race, and that is Steve Bixler. So we are set for this restart after the second caution of the day. A lot of drivers decide to come in under that sequence of pit stops, but have to remember here, keep in mind that the fuel window's just about 24 laps here. So drivers have to be patient when it comes to that. Meanwhile, Lawrence underneath for the second position on Brandon Combs, but the thing is he has no help whatsoever, and that high side's going to come after him like a freight train. Colin Johnston to third. Could see Andrew Smith take fourth. Joe Musso to fifth. Yeah, Lawrence took a risk and it did not work, and has Preston Cranmer behind him. They'll likely move up. We'll likely see after 2 cautions in this one and not even a third of the way through. Would not be surprised if we saw some train racing. So it's the Brandon and Brandon show. Working their way together. And now we start to see some drivers try to work together. It's Preston Cranmer and the 85 of Jacob Butcher. They are teammates out of the Epsilon Sprint Wraps camp, the Aspire Sim Racing camp, I should say. They're currently scored in 7th and 9th, or one of those ways. That low line is starting to work just a bit. Could see a race for the lead breakout in the next 2.5 miles or so. Lawrence does start to have some company. Right on board here with the leader, Brandon Bender. Did have a new quickest lap of the race, and that was a 46.29 by Jeremy Tate. So now Bender starts to rely on the spotter just a little bit. Don't know if he has an actual spotter or if he's using a virtual one. Now we'll start to rely on it just a little bit. Brandon Combs, assuming he just wants to focus on pushing him, doesn't want to make a pass for lead, just focus on working with each other as of right now. Mentioned Jeremy Tate, quickest lap of the day, 46.29, right in 11th spot. The Aspire Sim Racing ride. Look who's right in 12th, Gary Sigelcal. And that number 25 did not make the show in any of the dirt modified races. So nice to see him right up front here with us at the super speedway side of things. 15 drivers in this pack. Still have some drivers deciding to play it safe. Kemper was involved in a wreck. Same with Chapman and Olsen, those drivers on the lead lap. But we have 3 wide down the back. This could get risky. Terry Landis in the middle. I would not want to be going 3 wide early in this one. Some drivers have decided to back off of it. One in the wall, and that was actually Jeremy Tate. Oh, Butcher loose. In the wall he goes. A great save, and around he goes. And there is the announcer's curse. Oh, he got T-boned from Kemper with the ARCA brakes. Third caution is out, and Kemper has no hood. Gary, I am sorry that we had to do that. But man, that car was just extremely loose. I'm gonna find that car too that got really sideways. So you see Kemper's brought it into the pit. That was Butcher. And car number 85, unfortunate. These yellow flags, though, are helping out both Cody Graham and John Krupa. I believe one of them just got the free pass and back on the lead lap. If not, it was somebody else. So, all right, let's go aerial shot. Let's go a wide shot here. Folks on the truck are trying to find our replay shot still, so just bear with us. Here we go. This was after the yellow already flew. There's the big hit from Kemper. Gary's already backwards in the pits. Let's go back to that yellow flag. And just look how sideways Butcher is. And Gary would know where to go. Look at Lawson. Just barely misses that. He may have gotten a 2X from netcode. But that was a great miss from the 9. Right in front of him. They have a Code Brown moment from him. There is the impact that Kemper gives him. Real-time shot. All 4 wheels off the ground. So coming off of turn 4, appearing to be Calamity Corner this evening. There it is with Kemper right there. That just takes your breath away. All right, this is going to fast forward to live progress here. We'll check and see if we're 1 to green this time. And should go 1 to green this time as work lap number 23. And while we were at it, let us know who you're rooting for in the chat. Got a couple of you watching. Thanks for tuning on in tonight on the Coast to Coast Racing Network. Great amount of viewers that we have retained as we have gone from dirt to modified action here this evening. So we are just about halfway through until the window can open for the final stop. But the thing is that you have to be concerned about is overtime. We could get a lot of green white checkers. It's really likely possible here in this one. So Brandon Combs won the race off pit road, followed by Colin Johnston, Preston Kramer, Doyle Lawrence, and Brandon Bender. 4 drivers stayed out, and leading the back to green is Terry Landis in the 161. Now, Roland Olson set to restart in, I believe, the 4th position. And is this going to be a single file restart, or are we going double this time? We can see what's decided here. Remember, Hollywood was involved in a wreck earlier tonight, and I would assume he has used a quick repair. Things back going. Here's the onboard with Jeremy Tate. He scraped the wall, remember, before the caution flew. So this is going to be a... Now, I think we got some confusion going on in race control. Let's see what the call is. Are we going to... I don't know what's going on here. The lights are off. And we know Terry Landis is the leader, Andy Patton second. Have we... I think we were using the choose code here for this restart. I don't know. Okay, I think we got things good. I don't know. Remember, drivers have heads-up displays to know where everyone should be behind and what lane they should restart in. All right, so we should be good here. Terry Landis, Andy Patton, row 1. Brandon Combs, Jeremy Tate, row 2. Preston Cranmer, Roland Olson, row 3. Row 4, Brandon Bender, Colin Johnston, Andrew Smith, Doyle Lawrence round out the top 10. We'll put lap 24 up on the board this time by on this restart. So Landis holds serve, but the thing is you don't want to be too far ahead. Or else you get slingshotted big time. Front 4, single file. Look at that gap there when it comes to car lengths. Would not be surprised if Brandon Combs went for the race lead here down the back. Decides not to. Andy Patton is the first one to move up a lane. With help from Preston Cranmer. Let's see if the general goes to the point here. We've completed a third of the race at Daytona, 25 down, but a lot of racing left to go, 50 laps remaining. It's Landis that currently commands the troops at bay. 15 drivers currently in this pack. A bunch of other drivers have decided to stay in the back of the field. If a yellow were to fly, the free pass car is Cody Graham in car number 2. Isaac Salas, I believe, was the free pass car last time by, so he was able to get back in the race and on the lead lap. You see, Pat can't get that high side to work, really. Surprising. Don't know if he really is thinking about side drafting this early on or whatnot. You see some drivers a little bit jockeying around. Jeremy Tate was one of them, where he got close to going around in turn number 3 before the actual yellow came out for the spin with the 85. Now you see a lot of guys making some lane changes. Here comes Combs. He's found Bender for the lead. The 220 and 229. 1-2 once again. And Landis is falling back a lot of spots with a 79 and Smith behind him. And so that helped out Andy Patton, though, the most, as he keeps the 3rd spot. As you see Zach Chapman below the double yellow line, he'll fall back a couple spots. Just don't think he wants to be in the way of really anybody right now. Remember, iRacing doesn't have the rule, but I believe Coast to Coast has the rule. You cannot advance your position below the double yellow line. If you do, you have to give it back. You also cannot force a driver below the double yellow line. If you do, you have to give up the spot. You see the front four again on the outside. Colin Johnson has been very quiet in this race so far tonight. Now, he did stay on a couple of occasions to lead. He just pitted under the last caution, but currently scored in the 4th position. You see him and Patton are trying to see if there's a way they can slingshot, get around the inside, but the thing is, Preston Kramer being that far back in 7th, it's just not working out the way they want it to work out. Oh, Andrew Smith, I don't know what happened there on the high side. Looks like he lost a lot of power on corner entry and just fell off the pace big time. Very strange. First driver on the bottom is currently Isaac Salas. Where in the world did he come from? I think that stack up he used to his advantage in the 6th spot, but let's see if his dancing partner Brandon Smith can help him. Now he's able to get Colin Johnston in front of him, which could help him out. Slide job with a pair of podiums this evening. Had to win the 358s. And the second in the big block race, Joe Musso. Now swap lanes down low, but that slows up the basement groove and helps out the top side. Terry Landis, after getting shuffled back at that 161, he's found his way back up to the 4th position. So 30 laps complete at the moment. Leaders are starting to approach some lap traffic as well. And the lap car is Steve Bixler in the 79. There he is. Would not be surprised if he dropped down below the yellow line and just let the leaders go. Be interesting to watch this very closely. And there you see it. He may have listened to me, possibly. We don't know. But no surprise of the leaders. They just stayed patient. No shaky reaction from any of them. Landis now with a friend behind him in Preston Cranmer. And you know the big part of friends that I like to say in this, you have friends, but when you get to the final laps of the race, if it's 1 to go or 2 to go, sometimes those friends may go away. If you're if you're a Hendrick teammate, you want to work with them, obviously. But in the white flag, you're going for a win at the same time, unless there's like a big playoff situation, like you see, like you were Chase Elliott and you were behind the driver you were pushing to the lead. However, though, you needed to win a race to make the playoffs, so that's just my example. Or Brad Keselowski pushing Chris Buescher. Keselowski didn't make a move for the winning. He just pushed Chris Buescher right to the victory for his 3rd win of the season. Something to think about here at the moment, too. Obviously, I'm not saying that we're going to go green to the end, but when you think about all the scenarios that are in place, a huge mixed bag of strategies. The drivers that pitted on lap 22, everyone that pitted on lap 22, they still have to make, I believe, at least 2 more stops. You pit on lap number 22, your next stop, I'm predicting, would be about lap 46 or so. And then after lap 46, you would have to pit it around lap number 70. So they would still be just about 5 laps short, if you know what I mean. So just have to see what happens. But this is what makes the draft very important. You're able to let off. You're able to save just a little bit of fuel at some times. So let's just take it on board here with, for example, Joe Musso. So he's using the draft. You'll see it sometimes he's lifting off that throttle. He's still full throttle here. You may watch on corner exit. Letting off there, just a small bloop, letting off there again. That helps try and save fuel, helps with economy. The guys that currently have the bad disadvantage, Andy Patton, for example, as he was full throttle before Terry Landis made the lane swap to the bottom, and then also Brandon Combs, because he has the foot all the way down on the floorboard. But Landis made it swap down the bottom, so he leaves Preston Cranmer behind and decides instead to go in front of the General. Interesting strategy there. We'll see if that plays off well to his advantage. There's the bump draft he needs. Bump drafts really help you out in the next gen cars. You can even tandem with the cars here too, on and off. But the thing is, when you make a jump bump draft, you have to be square on. If you're not square on, could lead to disaster. So 35 laps are in the books. 40 remain here at Daytona. I'm going to take a chance and shut up here for a lap or two. We're going to crank it up here at Daytona. Drivers coming in just about 24 laps or so. Isaac Salas, Terry Landis, Jeremy Tate, Roland Olson come in for pit stops. We'll bring up the map here on your screen to know where your favorite driver is on race day. I believe it was Andrew Smith before we went to the yellow flag. Apologies for the audio for a couple seconds. I believe it was Andrew Smith that had the lead at the time before we had the pit stops begin. And now everyone's rolling the top shelf of the racetrack, and it's Brandon and Brandon, followed by Preston, Jacob, and Joe. Another driver comes in, it's Andy Patton. This is gonna suck for him because he is all by himself. You don't want to be all by yourself, because if you're all by yourself, you have no draft. And no draft, as a lot of you know, you've got no speed one bit at Daytona. So Andy Patton, the General, brings his 87 car in. We'll watch his pit stop here closely. Nearly overshot it. So 4 tires and fuel likely. Salas did, I believe, 2 tires. Landis did, I believe, 2 tires as well. If not fuel only. I think a lot of drivers decide, you know what, let's just fill the tank up here. Now these are the drivers that pitted on lap number 15. We're expecting the drivers that pit on lap 22 in a couple of laps from now. You see the leaders in the heavy lap traffic. Oh, man, that was tight. Olsen and Combs get split up. Bender has to go below the yellow line. That is completely illegal because he's going below a lap car. Yikes, that nearly got dicey. And I got a feeling the top 2 are not happy about on the radio, although when coast-to-coast rules, you were not allowed to call anybody out. But my, that was risky. That nearly took out a good chunk of cars. Gary Sigelkow off the pace in the 25. Is he out of fuel? He may have gone too far. He may be out of fuel here. Ah, tough break for Gary. And he had no power on the 25. He's below the racetrack, so he's trying everything to bring it back into pit road. This is going to be close to see if this will be a caution or not. But he's below the yellow line, so I would assume this would not be a caution flag. If he can get down to the grass and just stop, that would not be a yellow. Trying everything. We'll keep you posted on that situation. He's in a snail's pace. Field makes the way into turns 3 and 4. No caution there. And that car is... I think that's going to stop right here. And the leaders are in the pits. Top 3 in. Brandon Combs, Brandon Bender, Preston Cranmer. Speed looks good. 60 miles an hour. Actually, Combs may have been just a brief bit over. If any speeding penalties happen, we'll let you know about it. Oh, man, but Brandon Combs way overshot his pit box. Not what you want to do here, one bit. So that puts the Musos 1, 2, 3. Jake, then Joe, then Eddie. Coming this lap. Penn and Landis letting the leaders go. Get ready for their pit stop. Can you see your favorite drivers on the screen with their pit stops and how fast they went on pit road? Roger Craig, Gary Sigelkow. He's in the pits now, had to take a tow. Luckily, no caution. We stay under the green flag. So just wait on the top 4 to pit. Then we'll give you a nice pit summary. How the drivers are doing. Close run where Colin Johnston is. He is 4th. And here they come. The leaders are in. And Colin Johnston darting to the left. Pretty much all of the Moose clan in the pits here, including Cody Graham, who is the last car on the lead lap, trying to get back in this race in some sort of way. Now the main goal here for the drivers here is they now, as everybody pretty much now has one stop remaining, this is a game of chicken in my opinion. You want to take less fuel so you can be good to go the distance, but the same risk you take is pretty much everybody except for Musso takes fuel only. I believe Joe did 2 tires. Game plan everyone wants to have is try and pit as last as you can for less fuel, but the thing is you got to make sure that you have enough fuel to go to overtime. So keep that in mind. So now we wonder where will the leaders end up. I believe the leaders will be the Musos. Oh, trouble behind them. Collins around and collects Bender. And the yellow flag comes out. Oh my goodness. A freak accident to bring out the 4th caution of the day. And it involves Bender and Johnston. That was so strange. So let's take a look. Here you see Preston Cranmer also involved too. That was a strange incident. Let's take a look. So Johnston's coming back out. Did he clip the apron? Briefly? Yep, he did. Just freaked out the car. And around she went into traffic. And where does Bender lie up in this accident? Right there. Just clipped him. Oh, that is a heartbreak. And I think Bender may have actually saved it. I don't think that car went around one bit. There's Lawrence and Cranmer, and if that car didn't go around, it's going to keep his spot. At the moment of caution flag, just have some damage. Let's try and get a cinema shot of this one. So Bender did go around, and it was a 60. And somehow he's in the 5th position. That is interesting to me. Let's run him over with both. There it was, just one touch on the banking. She'll freak out. And left front damage. Well, what could have been a race-winning car tonight. My bad. Here's Bush Baker. Now the caution flag is already out. Or did he run out of fuel? That was very strange. I don't know what happened there. Let's go to Preston Crandall. He was already around after contact. Doyle Lawrence. Let's see how that broke out. Everybody was trying to dodge the bullet. And there it was, just the slightest of contacts. All right, that'll put us back onto the live shot. And that will stack everybody up. So not what the Musos wanted one bit, as they had an appropriate lead. And we did have some drivers pit on lap number 45. Which will put them just about 6 laps short, I would have it. So we could have, and again, big if, if the race goes green to the end, could have fuel mileage in the question still. So we are 1 to green here. While we are at it, don't forget next week we've got the Week 13 Fun Run Charity, which I'm very excited to do in honor of abandoned catch rescue. And again, I mentioned it earlier, this is a charity that means a lot to me because I have 2 cats at home. First one I came to us, walked onto our deck as a stray, and he was healthy. We brought him in and stuff like that. Second cat I adopted at Petco. We've had great lives, indoor cats we've had for the last 13, 14 years or so. So here's how it's going to work. Sunday we've got GR80, we've got kids races, ladies races, volunteers races, vets and first responders races. Looking forward to that one. Monday we've got the Hawkeye Challenges, dirt at Lernerville, asphalt at Oxford, and 87 Monte Carlo at Legacy Daytona. Tuesday night, a new fun stuff, midgets and street stocks at Kern County. Asphalt, midgets, asphalt, dirts, enduros, and a double derby. Wednesday night, we've got sprint cars at Kern County and the Xfinity Trail at Darlington. Then Thursday night, small blocks, big blocks, 100 laps at Kern County, late models for 100 laps at Kern County, and then the Next Gens at the Lady in Black, Darlington Raceway. So we are set to go for this restart. Musos, top 3, Jacob, Eddie, Joe. Then it's Brandon Combs 4th, Terry Landis 5th, Jeremy Tate 6th, Roland Olson 7th, Andy Patton 8th, Andrew Smith 9th, Brandon Bender rounds out the top 10 as we come back to the green flag with just under 30 laps of racing to go at Daytona. See the Musos trying to hook up immediately. first driver on the bottom by himself is Roland Hollywood Olsen, down in 7th. Brandon Combs in 4th, but it's going to be a tough race for him in these next few laps because he is stuck without his teammate in Brandon Bender. However, though, Bender's still in his pack, 0.4 of a second back, so these two could still work together. The thing is, Bender, I would assume he's already used his quicker. All right, audio turned down now. I apologize, guys. I don't think you've heard from me for a while, so. Combs in 4th. Olsen and Landis side by side for the 5th position. 11 guys in this pack. Staying in the back, Cody Graham back on the lead lap. Same with John Krupa. Colin Johnston, Preston Cranmer as well. Those drivers getting a little bit lucky with that caution flag. First guy that on the free pass, the battle for 14th, Preston Cranmer and John Krupa. So I'm sorry, Cody Graham, Colin Johnston back on the lead laps. You right on board with Joe Musso. Andy Patton in car number 87. Low on Combs for 4th. Behind him is Landis. And you see the side draft. Oh, that's tight with Roland. And he is stuck in the middle in what we like to call the sucker hole. Nobody will want to work with him after that one. Can he find a line barely, a hole barely in front of Zach Chapman? Thing is, he's got Jeremy Tate in his way. I think Chapman will let him in, and he will. "25 laps remaining here at the World Center of Racing. Lane change down low is Brandon Combs, and oh, there's Bender. They are together once again. So Bender trying to recover after that last caution flag. Bender decides to swap back up. Wants to leave a hole here, but Landis wants to steal it away. Don't think anyone saw that coming as he splits up the B&B teammates. Until now, there's the hole there for Bender, or for Combs rather. So everyone's staying single file, and again, remember, everyone will have to make one more pit stop. Again, let's pull up this pit strategy. For those wondering at home, and just showing you how long they have gone. It was just about 21, 22 laps for the drivers. And Olsen is actually working on lap number 14 of this stint. So he's got just about 8 laps before he has to come in and pit. So this race is not a sprint to the finish yet for the 11 drivers on the lead lap, or the drivers trying to stay patient. Gonna try and update this overlay reloaded, not too sure why. It says he's pitting, there we go. But you know, the Mussos are gonna work together. That's a fact, number one. I think the main question is just, can anybody split them up? I think the best pair to split them up are Brandon Combs and Brandon Bender. And they're not having a good time making that low line work. Oh, Eddie Musso Jr. He's loose below the yellow line. That is very interesting, but luckily he prevents the momentum of the Brandons to go and leaves the Mussos 1, 2, 3, and now Combs and Bender switch up top, and Combs is in the wall. Oh boy, Edward trying everything not to give the Brandons the lead. And they are like, you know what? We don't care. You're going to race us like that. We're going to race you like that. But look, who gives this an opportunity to? Roland Olsen for third spot. And so that splits up the Musos. Very surprised to see Edward do that, as he now went from third to seventh. If he finishes in the top three, we'll have to ask him about that, or if not, we may ask one of the Muso drivers about that. But here we go for the lead. Olsen, a great push coming from the B&B team. Now for the first time tonight, we see Hollywood go to the point. Now he tries to side draft. Oh, that is tight. Nearly puts Combs in the wall again. What is he thinking in that race car? He's got to be thinking, man, these guys are lucky I'm not taking them out. Wild things are happening in the race car, and it is getting aggressive with 20 laps to go and with one stop remaining. And the Musos have started to figure their way back up to back up together. Only thing that's separating them is Andrew Smith in the third spot. And let's give a credit to Andrew. He started all the way from 22nd. I think he was one of the drivers that decided not to take on qualifying in case something were to happen early. And he has made his way up to third spot. And is the right place at the right time with 19 laps to go. Olsen has that high side working once again. But will Combs give him a break or even a bump draft? Let's watch that closely. Here comes the bump draft that Combs gives him. That moves Hollywood up into second. And he's looking for the lead through 3 and 4. Oh, lap traffic is in the way. Oh, Krupa lets them go barely. That's going to get tight in the tri-oval here. Luckily, he stays below that WO line. That's great. Great move from Krupa. Let them race for it. But now, again, Eddie's back to... Oh, trouble, Olsen! Oh, this is going to be bad. Not as bad as I thought it was going to be, but it brings out the yellow with 18 laps to go, and that's going to bring everybody in for what could be the final pit stop of the race. See, got a touch, I think, from Andrew Smith trying to come down. Yep, just trying to make that lane change. The hole was there, and Smith just came quicker than he expected. And you see Andrew Patton get a piece of that one, too, and I think Eddie Musso did as well. And I thought for a moment when Patton came down, I legit thought for a moment it was going to end up ugly. All right, we're fast forwarding because we have the final round of green flag stops, or the final round of pit stops, I should say, around the corner. And here they come. I would assume they would just top off on fuel. Jacob wins, Joe second, Brandon third, Smith fourth, Bender rounds out the top 5. We're going to step aside here briefly. We'll play the Steve King Foundation as they mean a lot to us, as obviously they sponsor the pace car. We did, and we gave them a check at the Knoxville Nationals. We'll play that again. As when we come back, we're taking you to the finish. Stay with us, the Coast to Coast Racing Network.
Are you listening? Are you missing me like I'm missing you? This just can't be true. Did you have to leave so soon?
When Steve died, the outpouring of love across the country was amazing. We realized we were in a position that no racing family wants to be in. The good that was coming out of that was that these dollars had come together to support us, and we realized no, we didn't want to use them for us. We wanted to use them to help others.
The foundation is important to me. It keeps Steve present in what we all do and what we all love, and that's racing.
My favorite memory of Steve was just how nice of a guy he was and how genuine he was.
I'm just sure that Steve would be very honored and thankful for the foundation and how it's honoring his name and all the good that the foundation does.
You go to a racetrack on Saturday, nobody expects to come out of there hurt. Unfortunately, sometimes it does happen. And thankfully we got people like the King family and everybody that's involved with the Steve King Foundation to help these families.
I was diagnosed with breast cancer, and the Stephen King Foundation reached out to me and told me that they had a check. I was absolutely floored. I just thought that they did this for drivers or crew members that got injured. You know, racing, they always say racing's like a big family.
I was involved in a pretty gnarly sprint car crash. Found out my brain was swelling and bleeding. Pelvic bone was broken. I had 2 cracked vertebrae on my back, and I was in the ICU a little over a week. The Steve King Foundation reached out to my parents. We received a donation from them. Immediately, they started me on what's called neurofeedback, and insurance did not cover the neurofeedback appointments. So we received another donation from the Steve King Foundation. It really helped a lot, and I just want to say thank you. Thank you from the bottom of my heart to the Steve King Foundation for everything that they have done for me. This last Sunday, I got to turn laps in my modified here. That was my first laps back in a race car since the accident, and I truly believe that if it wasn't for the Steve King Foundation, I wouldn't be able to do that or be where I'm at today.
I was injured in a non-wing sprint car accident that broke my neck and left me with a spinal cord injury. I was in the hospital 8 months, and that got really, really expensive, so having that extra help to help push me and my family forward was a big deal. I mean, it's kind of inspired me to start my own foundation within racing.
There was such a caring family, and they wanted to help others, and being able to just be associated with them, to carry on his name, to help other racers and their families to survive in the sport that we love so much has just been a real honor for me.
The thing that gets lost in translation is, yes, Steve's death is the reason the foundation exists, but it's Steve's life, and it's the lives of racers everywhere is the reason we're able to do the work we do.
Time to go back to the green flag here, where we will have 14 laps of racing to go. The Musos make up the front row. This is going to get good. A sprint to the finish. We're going to see what happens. Combs able to split up the Musos. Brandon Bender working on that bottom. Eddie Musso up there in the 4th spot. High side did not get going, and Musso switches up with the 63 of Joe Musso. Everybody moves up top. Now watch the Brandons all the way down underneath. You couldn't see that one coming, could you? As they work their way down low for the lead, there's the tandem by the 228 and 229. New leader, Brandon Combs. "13 laps remaining. The Moose up top. The Brandons on the bottom. Watch out as well for some Aspire drivers out there as well. Jeremy Tate leading them in the 5th position. And you also got Andrew Smith up top in 8th. This pack has definitely increased with 14 drivers in it on the lead lap. Free pass driver's John Krupa, but he's 2 laps down. So the free pass car was Preston Cranmer back in this race in the 12th position, but it's going to need some help though. Terry Landis at the tail end of this pack with drivers on the lead lap. He is in the 11th spot. Roger Craig up there in 16th in this lead pack. However, though, he is many laps down, just wants to stay in the back of this one. And Brandon Combs brings it out to the point. Tries to cut the momentum off. Brender wants to move lanes up top. That's a risky play, though, because he could have Tate underneath, but it works. As he shuts the door on the 61. You know, as we come to what I like to call the witching hour, now when you come down to these final laps, you know, you get really excited when you have a chance to win, but then sometimes when you're in at the white flag and then you get wrecked, sometimes those emotions can turn upside down. You're happy and then you're like, ah! That's going to happen to at least one driver here. Maybe even at least 2 drivers. But now the high side starts to get dominant, with the Brandons up top. As the Moose follow suit 3, 4, and 5. Landis then in 6th. Tate can't find a hole in front of Smith. Ten laps to go at the World Center of Racing. And this one, ladies and gentlemen, is far from over, as you know. But a train starts to develop. Could be the longest train we see this evening. And it could lead to a game of cat and mouse or chess. Smith stuck in the middle mid-pack in a 3-wide situation. Nobody wants to work with him. It's Tate, then Graham. Behind him, Roger Craig. But I think Smith's trying to get to that top line as soon as possible. Cullen Johnson's also up there in that number 13. Zach Chapman dives down low. And we have not talked about Zach Chapman since he was involved in that yellow flag with the big one on just around lap 15 or so. Can Shaggy make his way up to the front out of nowhere? Cullen Johnson, last time we talked about him, was when he was involved in that pit accident, when he got a rear tire on the banking and just lost all drive and it spun out. You have to rely on a lot of bump drafting, but the thing is he got the 72 just a little bit squirrely. That's a risky bump draft there down the super stretch. Still the Brandons out in front. 8 to go at the line at Daytona. Right now it's 11 drivers that have a chance to win it. Cranmer, Patton, and Olsen just want to find a way, just praying for yellow to get back in this. They are 5.3 seconds behind in 12th, 13th, and 14th respectively. On board with that 229. Lap traffic ahead, though. Believe that's Sigel Cow in the 25. This could get interesting here. Believe he'll stay on the bottom, let the leaders go up top. May want to go below the yellow line. This could get interesting if you're Zach Chapman, Jeremy Tate, and Roger Craig. Oh, I don't want to see this go 3 wide here. Oh, come on! Come on! Oh, Colin Johnson and Cody Graham into the 6th caution flies. Oh, I wanted to see that go right to the checkers. That got risky. You could just sense that one coming. So let's show you what happened here. Go aerial shot. I'm not sure if Chapman was just trying to go up. Should rewind that. And was just trying everything to avoid Gary. And I can understand that Graham could be mad at Zach Chapman. But Zach Chapman has a case there because if Gary goes below the yellow line and lets them go, there's not even an issue there one bit. Real-time shot there. And a heavy impact for Cody Graham. And unfortunate for Colin Johnston to get involved in the aftermath of that too. Right on board here with the 2. Let's go back a little bit further. Here we go, and he was already going around there. Remember, Gary already had issues as he went too far. I think pulled in Alan Gustafson / Chase Elliott and ran out of fuel. Let's give you an onboard here with Cullen. Hoping that hole would just stay on the bottom, but obviously in physics at Daytona with the 31 degrees of banking just about here, what will happen is that car, if it goes low, the speed goes up and then slightly crawls down on the hill. So Zach, Andrew, Preston, Cody all in pit road. The Moose Clan is gone. So Doyle wants me to look at it, and Doyle, I apologize that I did not get to your message. I'm just seeing this. The first caution rolled the camera way before I got on the apron. Slant from behind that caused him to spin down into the apron. So, but I mean, with this last caution, and obviously I'm hoping for that to go green to checkered, there is a bright side. We get a sprint to the finish, 3-lap sprint to the finish, and the racing is just going to get more aggressive each and every lap. You don't see you likely won't see that single file train. I got a feeling it's going to be double file. Teammates going to work together as much as they can. You may see a Brandon wash out of the race before the white flag. You may see a Moose wash out of the race before the white flag. Technically, we did there with Cody Graham, but you could see another one. Alrighty. Lights are off. Gonna be a fun sprint to the finish here. A 3-lap shootout. We have seen the big one already break out just at around lap 15. But we see it again here. The Brandons row 1. The Moose row 2. A Moose and Landis row 3. And Aspire Car and Andy Patton row number 4. Roland Olson back in the top 10. He's next to Andrew Smith. Zach Chapman in 11th next to Preston Cranmer. And so that is your top 12. So here we go, folks. 7.5 miles remaining at the World Center of Racing. A warm-up lap and 2 qualifying laps. It is crunch time here for the drivers. And it's going to be a fun sprint to the finish. Here we go. And immediately, the Brandons move up top. Moose go down low. Eddie finds a hole in front of Jeremy Tate. The Brandons don't have the push like the low side does. Huge run for Joe and Jacob. Oh, they're trying to side draft as much as they can. There you see the tandem into turn number 3. High side a little bit broken up just a bit compared to Joe and Jake. 2 sticks in the air this time by. 2 laps to settle it. Jacob is loose off the corner and hangs on. Oh, man, and Joe trying to side draft off of Landis. Combs has the lead for right now. And that low side broken up just a bit more. Big advantage of the Brandons right now as the field goes through turn 2. They may have regained it here as Jake tries to side draft. But it's still Brandon Combs, Brandon Bender. 1-2 out in front. The Moose look to gain some momentum in 3 and 4. And it's working. They're going to be side by side the white flag. Will they be side by side? The checkers, we'll see. One up in the wall at Steve Bixler. We stay green. It was Jake Musso at the line that time. Who leads in the next one? About to find out here. Big push. Joe gives Jake. And the Brandons in trouble. They could clear in the corner. 3 wide for the 3rd position. Landis goes up the middle. Oh, and they're wrecking all over the place. And the Moose are going to have a battle for the win. And they will go side by side down the back. And Joe takes the lead from Jacob. He clears into 3. So is it Joe Musso or Jacob Musso? Jacob looks for one final run. Is he just going to give him the push to the finish? Here they come to the checkers. Joe Musso wins at Daytona. Andy Patton somehow finishes 3rd. Preston Cranmer 4th. Brandon Bender 5th. You just knew that final lap incident was coming. And Andy Patton somehow found a way to dodge that bullet. And I think they are still going full speed. Yes, they are. They want to be side by side at the end just for fun. Now they slow it down. I wonder if we're gonna see dual burnouts here, or are they just gonna pull up here? Well, they got to pull up obviously for the photo, but Andy Patton's half a lap behind. So, all right, your results from tonight. Joe and Jacob 1-2, Andy Patton 3rd, Preston Cranmer 4th, Brandon Bender 5th, Andrew Smith 6th, Terry Landis 7th, 8th Brandon Combs, 9th Zach Chapman. They were the ones that finished on the lead lap. He's looking at 11th through 20th. Man, Cody Graham had a lot of recoveries. Get back on the lead lap, I think not once but twice. Unfortunately finishes in the 13th spot. Colin Johnston had a great car going. Daryl Lawrence had a good car as well. That's how the rest of the field looks. So that is how they look, but I want to keep the cameras on here. Normally I like to show B-roll, but I want to keep the cameras on here in case we get a fun burnout between the top 2. I think they're trying to plan it out here. Joe's doing burnouts. Jacob's going to do donuts. Come on. Come on, give me a nose-to-tail burnout. That's what the fans want to see. We're waiting for Andy to join in, so. But while we wait for Andy to join in, let's go to the accident that broke out on the final lap. We'll go from the white flag here. Again, we're still waiting for Andy, for the general to join us in chat. We may not be able to get to him. I'm not too sure. Oh, did we get him? We may have gotten him in. So it was 3 wide. Landis took a risk up the middle and then clips Addy right there. And everyone's just winding them up, and somehow Patton and Tate avoid all of it. Now, what happened to Jeremy Tate here at the end? I want to know how Andy Patton got third, and I think Jeremy Tate's trying to show his friends in chat. That's what I need to rewind that because I missed that. I was looking away. I was looking at the Discord. So Tate opened up a hole just enough for Patton to show it in there, and I think Tate just barely came down, and Olsen's involved. Hollywood was looking for a podium shot. I think that actually DQ'd both of them. Andy is just hanging on for dear life. Cram and Kruper passed both of them. All right, we don't have Andy Patton, unfortunately, guys. I'm sorry. I think a lot of people are looking forward to talking with him. So we're going to bring in your winners here, your top two. We'll bring them all at the same time, Jake and Joe. Gentlemen, a 1-2 finish. Obviously, the tough challenge was racing the Brandons. Jake, I'll begin with you here. I know the winner is Joe, but Jake, walk us through how you did that push.
Yeah, no, Joe was pushing me there, but I led the last lap, and I knew we had to just stay together and just keep bumper to bumper, and we finally figured it out. It took 75 laps, but we found out how to be bumper to bumper, not trying to spin one another. So it was actually pretty fun there, and we just locked, and those two cars together were rocket ships. And luckily there was some 3 wide racing back there, and it let us pull away. And Joe pulled out on me on the back straightaway, and I had to win to get in the playoffs. So when he passed me, I wasn't gonna wreck us both coming to the line, so I just stayed behind him just to be a nice brother, you know.
Respectful brother, absolutely, I can understand. Joe, what'd you expect coming off turn 2? I guess I'll ask you that. Did you expect to get involved in that wreck?
No. I knew me and Jake were pretty front to back, pretty good, and I was just more worried about getting sideswiped or something like that. But once we cleared him, I knew it was smooth sailing, and I knew I had to pull out on him, and I was hoping he wasn't gonna try anything, and he didn't. So got to thank him for that. But yeah, we were locked too good. I don't think anybody could have touched us at the end.
I want to ask you as well, since Eddie didn't finish in the top 3. I think it was just under 20 laps to go. I think after everyone had their final pit stop. Was Eddie trying to block both lanes just so you guys would have some momentum?
No, I think he was just trying to figure out where his car was going to run the best, and if we were going to pit, and he was just going to let us in, but it never really worked out that way, and we kind of screwed him over. But as long as we had 2 cars together, I think we were fine.
Okay. Well, you guys do have a Moose champion, and I think this is the 6th time this week he's a champ, and that is Cody Graham. He had a lot of recoveries tonight, but it was just unfortunate to see what happened there with 8 to go, as he had a good chance to win it.
Oh, yeah.
It was a bummer for him.
Absolutely.
Oh, yeah, go ahead, Jake.
Yeah, Jake, you talk.
Yeah, it was a bummer for Cody there. He got caught up in a couple wrecks, and but we knew he had a huge point lead, and we're like, yeah, you still going to the championship? And he goes, oh, yeah. He was pretty disappointed with the racing in the back there. A lot of people just making some dumb moves out there, which I was a part of a few of those wrecks, and I could tell you it was pretty sketchy back there, but really glad we found the front. Too bad he couldn't find it with us.
Same question to both of you. First for Joe. What are you thinking about for Darlington next week? Your thoughts going on in there?
I love that track, and it's always a fuel mileage race. So the last time I was there in the trucks, I think Jake and I went 1-2, so hopefully we can do the same there in the Cup cars.
Jake, what about you?
Yeah, I mean, I'm worse in the Cup cars than the trucks, but I really feel like we got a shot there. We just got to watch out for some top runners that will probably be there next week. But Darlington's like, save your tires up a little bit, and you could just drive around people.
Alrighty. Well, Joe, I'll let you lead the troops here in this one. Who you want to give shout-outs to?
Yeah, I'd like to thank all the GKM boys, my mom and my sister for watching, you for a great broadcast, and Coast to Coast for a great league.
Alrighty. Well, guys, we'll let you go. Congratulations. Great win all around and a great 1-2 finish. You conquered. You conquered a good one. Great job.
Thank you.
Thanks.
Alrighty. Joe and Jake, 1-2 here this evening. So that will do it for us. Week 13 coming up next week. Another fun run charity, and we're looking forward to benefiting Abandoned Cats Rescue. On behalf of everyone at the Coast to Coast Racing League, all the fine drivers and sponsors, and Roger Craig, Preston Kramer, and all the fine group of admins, Marty Scala saying so long. Congratulations to your winners this evening. Isaac Salas, 358s. Brandon Templeton, Big Blocks. Joe Musso in Next Gen. So long, everyone.